And welcome once again to another episode of Why Should We Care About the Indo-Pacific? I am Ray Powell. I am the former military officer, and I am currently in Manila, Philippines. My co-host, Jim Carouso, the former diplomat, is still in New York. Jim, how are you, sir?
I am well. I am not as warm as you are in the Manila, but that's okay.
It's warm and rainy here. I don't know what the weather is like in Phnom Penh, but our guest today is coming to us from Phnom Penh, and I will introduce him shortly. But first of all, let's go back and review why we're talking to somebody in Phnom Penh, because recent deadly clashes at the so-called Emerald Triangle have reignited a century-old border dispute between Cambodia and Thailand, which are rooted in colonial-era French maps. These have sparked huge protests in Bangkok. They have prompted Cambodia to bring its case to the International Court of Justice. And in the latest twist, this has occurred just recently when Thailand's Prime Minister, Paetongtarn Shinawatra, she was suspended from office on July 1st following a leaked phone call with Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Sen, in which she addressed him as, quote, uncle, and criticized her own military commander. So, our guest today to help us unpack all of this is Ambassador Pou Sothirak, a former Cambodian ambassador to Japan and the current executive director of the Cambodian Institute for Cooperation and Peace. Ambassador Pou brings decades of diplomatic experience and deep expertise in Southeast Asian security to help us unpack both these border tensions and the extraordinary political fallout that has left Thailand's government in crisis. So, Ambassador Pou, first of all, thank you for joining us. And for our listeners unfamiliar with the Emerald Triangle, can you briefly explain the origins of this conflict? Where does the issue stand now, and why should we care about it?
Well, first of all, thank you, Ray, and I am so delighted and privileged, in fact, to be called upon to take part in these conversations. I would like to thank you and your podcast, Why Should We Care About the Indo-Pacific? I care about the Indo-Pacific. Cambodia, I think, care about the Indo-Pacific, and thank you for bringing Cambodia into a spotlight. I also want to thank your partner, Jim Carouso, for engaging me with this conversation. Now, before we went on, I want just to make small adjustment. I'm no longer the executive director for the Cambodian Institute for Cooperation and Peace. I was the executive director there for 10 years. Now I'm a retired academic, and I am the distinguished advisor to the Cambodian Center for Regional Study, the background. So I'm no longer acting with CICP. Now it's CCRS. So thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much, Ray, for raising this important question. The current flashpoint that occurred in recent days, starting late May, in fact, 28 May onward, was part of a bigger picture. The conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia over the border dispute went back, if you like, there's the three stages. The first stage when Cambodia took Thailand to court in 1962, the ICJ, and during that time, Thailand agreed to go. The ruling was on the sovereignty aspect of the temple, and we won the case. And then when Cambodia listed the temple of Preah Vihear in the World Heritage Site with UNESCO, there's also a big clash. This is in 2008, July, I believe. The Thai military come and incur into Cambodian territory and occupy the whole temple and the pagoda there, which there's a lot of clash, a small war, so to speak, happened. And then Cambodia was very worried, and we asked ASEAN to help mediate and resolve the issues. ASEAN couldn't do anything because of internal affair. We went to the UN Security Council. The UN Security say, call for both sides to exercise restraint, and then the issue should be handled regionally, sent back to ASEAN. And so Cambodia was very worried because in 2008 and then 2011, there's the Syria clash, which made Cambodia very afraid that tension will flare up bigger. So we took the issues again to the ICJ this second time. In 2011, we submit a request for ICJ for reinterpretations and the ruling over the provisional measure because there was a border clash. So at the end of that, in 2011 and then 2013 in November, the court gave its ruling, and once again it re-emphasized that that the temple and the land surrounding the temple is situated in the territory of Cambodia. By virtue of saying that, it say that because at the time the contested area was a 4.6 square kilometer, the Thai claim they use a unilaterally drawn map with no legal value, legal recognition to claim this piece of land. So since then, since 2013, the ruling, the Joint Border Committee was supposed to meet, but they didn't meet until most recently because of the clash that you bring in just now. What is a current clash? So the current clash have to be seen in the context of the previous history that I was just trying to give it to you. Now, I wrote a book about it, and then it depends on how much you want to know. I want to focus on the current issues, but bear in mind this is not something that it just happened. So what happened is that, as you know, Cambodia and Thailand share land border of approximately 500 miles, and it's roughly about 800 kilometers. And they set up a joint border committee in 2000 by way of MOU to try to demarcate the whole border between the two sides. And as I mentioned, there's still sensitive issues. Now, what happened today is that the Emerald Triangle itself it's a big area, but specifically the dispute currently between Thailand and Cambodia is more or smaller contested area at the junction of three countries. In fact, I have a map. If you want, I can send it to you so you can see it. Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, but we're talking about Thai and Cambodia here. In the area you call Emerald Triangle, we call it Mumbai, and the Thai would like to call it Chongbok. So even that, it's a bit confusing already. So the land there that is contested is about 12 square kilometer only, just to let you see the size. And this dispute area also extended to three ancient Khmer temples called Tamon Thom, Tamon Tu, and Takrabai. These are also a part of the dispute now, currently. Okay? Now, you were asking about the map, the 1907 map that was a map used. Actually, this map is produced by the Treaty of Franco-Siam in 1904. The Franco-Siam is set up to demarcate between French Indochina and the Kingdom of Siam at that time when Cambodia was under French protectorate. So, and the map was produced in 1907, and it's used both the French colonial power and Siam. There's evidence, in fact, it is this map that gives Cambodia the leeway, the legal ownership of Temple of Preah Vihear. So Cambodia always go to that map. You know, we like that map because it's clearly it does have legal value. That is to say, between the Siam Kingdom and the French, who was colonial power.
So sorry for interrupting, but why does Siam Thailand disagree now with that map? What has changed?
As I mentioned to you, even in the second time when we asked for reinterpretations in 2011 and the court ruled in 2013, Thailand, they don't dispute the ownership of the Temple of Preah Vihear, but they dispute the land surrounding the temple, 4.6 square kilometer. This land, this the map that they use is a military unilaterally drawn map. I can send it to you. I said I have in my file in my book, and it say also it's a secret. I don't know. This is a military map, so it have to be secret. So if you use secret map to claim I'm sorry. That's why they lose the case. The second time also. In fact, I make things very quickly, but the detail is that the Thai legal team tell the ICJ that the ICJ have it doesn't have the right to rule over because Thailand doesn't want to go to court. But then this is the old case, this is a reinterpretation of the case in 1962. So unanimously in 2013, the court say we have the right to rule over. It is conceivable for us to rule based on Cambodian request. This is international law.
Ambassador, how did this current conflict start? What was the genesis of this May 28th? Was it? How did it begin?
Okay, face value. Be simplistic. It's a misunderstanding about who's shooting first, and one Cambodian died. Face value. As I said, this is more complex about more than just who shoot first. This involves nationalism. This involves domestic politics. This involves the whole legacy. Cambodia and Thailand doesn't coexist. And if you go way back in the Angkorian period, archaeologists will show you how big Cambodia is. So I don't want to go on. I'm a Cambodian. I have to say things that, we were once upon a time grand, but today we have to accept the reality of nation state that is born now today, and we have to accept what it is. We cannot hold French colonial power to give back to us to return all the land that we lost to the neighboring, not only Thailand but also Vietnam. Quite a bit also. So what is the genesis? The genesis is the legacy, historical legacy of a proud nation that keep losing land, and whenever this has happened, the whole country wake up. There is inside Cambodia, I can tell you that the feeling is that they see Thailand as a threat. They see Thailand is now trying to take away their land again. The whole Cambodian people, including myself. But when I say that, if I were to resolve this issue, I have a different way. The people would say, I will die to protecting my land, kind of thing, and this is not so good, in my view. No one should die protecting their land because they don't require that you have to die to protect your land. So the genesis at face value is a misunderstanding, in my view. But the problem that it created is now the Cambodian and Thai bilateral relations is at stake at the moment. It is very bad. It is really bad. Closer border, threatening the positioning of military preparedness on both sides. What if there's another misunderstanding happen because of who shoot first again? What happened? I don't want to imagine or doing some scenario thinking that what if, So I'm hoping that there's something will transpire.
The Prime Minister has now been suspended for having a phone call with Prime Minister Hun Sen, where she's been accused of kowtowing to your Prime Minister. What is the Cambodia version of this event, of this conversation?
There's a lot of debate about this. About this is my personal view because we are talking about some very supposed to be confidential discussion between the Prime Minister of Thailand and the former Prime Minister of Cambodia, Prime Minister Hun Sen, who has remained very powerful. And he have done so much for Cambodia, I have to say, in this regard. So we are talking about, if you want my view, I will give you my personal view, but please bear in mind, this is just a personal view. I'm not making any judgment. It's just how I think it's all happened. Now, first, I think you have to ask who initiated this phone call first. Okay, so it's a Prime Minister of Thailand, but unfortunately, I think she's lacking experience, in my view. If I were to say that she should have called her counterpart, which is a Prime Minister acting, in service, in function, which is the son of Prime Minister Hun Sen, and talk over about this. Okay, that's the first thing. So when she talked to Prime Minister Hun Sen, the tone was very conciliatory and trying to kind of seek Prime Minister Hun Sen understanding her role as the civilian governing of Thailand, but she's under a lot of constraint. Anyone know, I don't know how much you know Thailand. I lived 7 years, I speak Thai in Thailand. I live in Thailand for 7 years. You need to know that the Thai state, is very unique. The military have a lot of say in Thai foreign policy. People don't know this. They think, why is it the border closure can be done by just the military? And the Prime Minister say, I give carte blanche to the military to decide. And the Thai Prime Minister say that, and she should have not said that. She's a Prime Minister. She have to talk to the military. So you see the problem here. And whereas my Prime Minister Hun Sen, he get very annoyed, to be very honest. He's very, in other words, the border issues is a repeated episode in his long spanning of protecting Cambodian sovereignty, including the previous case, as I mentioned to you. So when this happening, he have to, there's a leak. And then frankly speaking, he said he's not the one who leaked it. The person he sent the information, because they all at different level taking responsibility over the issues in Cambodia. Also, 80 Cambodian policymakers and militaries and whatnot, Prime Minister Hun Sen released this, and one of them leaked. Okay, that if you want the story, but he accepted that he did that, and then he doesn't like the tone that. You see, the problem is that he feel that his son is being insulted. You don't consult with the son. Why is it that you have to talk to me? So this is how I see it. Okay.
So just so I understand.
Like this.
Yeah. So just so I understand, this phone call was seen as too conciliatory on the Thai side, but also insulting on the Cambodia side. What apparently there was no redeeming value whatsoever in this phone call. So where do things go from here?
Yeah, well, right now you have to repair the damage. It's correct. The egg has been broken into omelette, and now you want to have scrambled egg. You cannot. You have to deal with the omelette. You have to have it on your plate now. So how we go from here? My honest suggestion is that we have to use diplomacy. We have to, but unfortunately, both sides now at the point of almost no return. You ask Thailand to negotiate, Thailand will probably say no. I done nothing wrong. You ask a Cambodian to negotiate, what should I negotiate? I'm the victim. It was Thailand who initiated everything. Right now, we need a third party, my friend. We need a counselor, a third party that have the confidence of both country, and they can go through this third party and think it over, talk it over, if they can. So at the moment, there's some noise, some voices that I saw an article, somebody suggesting that China should mediate it. There are also some talk, but it doesn't really culminate it into anything yet. ASEAN should also, the chair of ASEAN should do it. Even Japan should do it. So at the moment, and France should do it. There's a call between Macron and the Prime Minister of both countries, and France offered to coordinate. Be very careful to use the word coordinate. They want to coordinate. Should Cambodia and Thailand want to sit down and talk and coordination, France would do it. So, not mediator. I will be reporting something incorrectly. So anyway, what is the third party should facilitate? It's to facilitate a high-level meeting between, possibly, in my suggestion, is the two prime ministers should, if possible, but if not, should the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, maybe the established Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the minister of both countries should meet. And when they meet, they have to exercise all option to settle this with the Joint Border Committee, which is bilateral, peacefully. Also multilaterally, meaning using ASEAN, going for ASEAN, or if not possible, going to the UN. And also the legal aspect, which is the ICJ. Cambodia opt for that already because we don't think that we can convince Thailand to do a fruitful bilateral talk. So anyway, what is it they're supposed to do? They're supposed to, in my humble suggestion, is that they should declare first and foremost truce. I agree to stop using military pressure. Truce is that I'm seeking peaceful coexistence. Both sides agree. It's a joint statement. From the truce, you should have a permanent ceasefire between both sides, following by the demilitarizations of both borders, at least 5 kilometers away from each other. Don't put the military there. And also immediately have a peacekeeping, a kind of a observer. And ASEAN can do this, ASEAN can dispatch their respective men in uniform, but their mission is to observe that Cambodia and Thailand hold on to what they agree, stop firing at each other. To the point where they need this time to talk over and exercise this option that I'm talking about that can restore the normalcy between the two countries.
Well, so that brings us to an interesting question, and I'll go ahead and jump back in here since you may have noticed that we lost Jim there for just a second. So the role of ASEAN has had a very difficult time getting involved in contentious issues within ASEAN. I mean, we would talk about whether it be issues regarding the South China Sea, issues regarding Myanmar. What is it about ASEAN? Is ASEAN capable of playing a productive role here, in your opinion?
Well, in my book, 13 some years ago, I said bilateral, the possibility of resolve these issues by bilaterally using counseling like third party, as I mentioned to you, just as a third party to counsel to facilitate the environment where they can meet again, can only work if both sides agree. Now, like I said, I jumped over so many things. Cambodia was very quick to accept ASEAN role as a mediator during the time. Pak Mati, who is a former foreign minister of Indonesia, have a package deal. The kind of thing that ceasefire, observer, and all these things. Remember, there was a flare-up between Abhisit and Preah Vihear in Jakarta special meeting over the border of Temple Preah Vihear on the 4.6 square kilometer. In Indonesia, come up with this package deal, which is roughly the same thing that I mentioned to you just now. And up in Jakarta, Cambodia and Thailand agree. We thought that it's going to go. And then when come back home, Thailand saying, no, it's unconstitutional in Thai side. So the government make a decision cannot be operational. In other words, there was supposed to be a peacekeeping from ASEAN to already going to the border to diffuse the tension already, but it didn't work. So again, here the point that you make, I think ASEAN still want to mediate if Cambodia and Thailand ask them, and respect them. The mechanism, being the High Council or the ASEAN dispute settlement mechanism have different stages. First and foremost is about confidence building measure, and then PD, preventive diplomacy, then conflict resolution. But they will always get stuck in the first step, which is confidence building. No trust. Okay, so an ASEAN cannot, because of its own inherent non-interference that is inscribed in the charter, they won't go beyond that. If both sides don't want it, what can they do? So, this is a problem with ASEAN.
And ASEAN's existence is in part to help resolve disputes between members, as I understand it. But let me ask you something else. There was a border dispute in the maritime boundary between Cambodia and Thailand. And it was important because there were some oil and gas resources. But that was resolved, no?
Well, good question. In those areas, there's two areas. One is Kokut. I don't know if you're about Kokut. Okay. According to Ligne Brivier, French line, Kokut already belonged to Thailand. Now, Ligne Brivier is an administrative map that is drawn by colonial power. The colonial power have maybe I'm not the judge, but I'm just for the debate. They cannot give anything to anyone by just drawing this line. A claim is a claim until proven is yours, remain a claim. So I think Cambodia may go to court again on Kokut, in my view.
I'm sorry, Ambassador, just because I want to clarify this. In the case of the first and the land border, the map drawn by the colonial power worked in favor of Cambodia, right? And Cambodia likes that map. But in the case of the maritime border, it works against Cambodia, and Cambodia does not like that. Is that a fair characterization?
It may boil down, but who's going to make that clarification? I think, again, you need legal interpretation. As I said, you need international expert and legal boundary to take a look. I said Cambodia may take this matter to the court. And so just to say that there's two areas, the Kokut and the overlapping claim. There's a completely overlap between Thailand and Cambodia. I was a minister of industry, mines and energy of Cambodia. I was tasked to get Thailand to do a joint development, oil and gas. Okay? This is in 1993, 94. I was there. I was a minister for 5 years. I met with Surin Pitsawan. He passed away. It didn't go either because when I went to meet with him, this is an official request, state to state. My mission was official to ask Thailand to do a clean slate, not to brush aside sovereignty and just to talk about joint development. Whatever contested, split 50 and 50. That was my proposition. I have the mandate from my government to negotiate in that sense. But Surin told me, and I think it still holds true in Thailand case, is that this is two sides of the same coin. The joint development could be one side, but also sovereignty delimitation is another side. Now, for them to, you see, in Cambodia, the government is very strong. We have a very strict, strong government. When the government want to do something, if you need legal backup, the parliament can support, on this issue. There shouldn't be any problem. That aspect is not the case in Thailand. So, Surin told me that no, we have to clear according to Thai constitution, we need to clear these sovereignty issues that with which Ministry of Foreign Affairs does not have a complete say. You see what I'm saying? In other words, at that time, they don't agree to joint development. Now, as time go by, and then the relationship with Prime Minister Hun Sen and Thaksin, at one point in time, the joint development come back. I'm no longer minister, of course, but Cambodia still want to do joint development. It did not work well because Thaksin was short-lived. He's so much problem. Although poor Thai keep winning the election each time there's an election in Thailand, as much as you said that Thaksin is a very divisive figure. But if you put him on poll, the Thai people vote for him. So take that think about it. Okay? So there is the Kokut, the sovereignty dispute. Cambodia still keep that, and the overlapping claim area. Recently, the two prime minister, the young prime minister of both countries, during their meeting, they also talk about the possibility of revisit the joint development. People ask me, what's the forecast? I said, if there is a political will, things can be done.
So, Ambassador, I want to try to move along to one other issue as long as we have this opportunity, and that is quite a different issue. It involves the construction of Ream Naval Base on Thailand's, with the assistance of the People's Republic of China, which many people have characterized as a Chinese naval base by all appearances. So they've pointed to satellite photos. They pointed to the near constant deployment of Chinese naval vessels to this base. Is Ream Naval Base, is it in fact a Chinese naval base?
Okay, and this is a very good question. Also, I in my view, Ream Naval Base being said as a Chinese base, I think it's a myth. It's not a reality. Now, officially, many times over, both Prime Minister Hun Sen, when he was active as Prime Minister, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs Cambodia issues quite a bit of a statement which say that it is against Cambodian constitutions to offer military base. So, but why is it it's still there? So as I said, it's a myth, but the perceptions of having a base is just as, what's the right word? Just as dangerous for Cambodia and to some friend around it. Now let me try to dissect it for you. When the breakout, the whistleblower was the American, journal? There's a Wall Street Journal or something way back who blow the whistle and say this is a base. And since then, the issues become a very, very thorny issues between Cambodia and U.S. relationship until today. Now, let me say what Cambodian government is trying to do. Let's just go straight to the latest event. Cambodia, the first military ship by Japan visited the naval base already. They were the first. And then following that, there's a Vietnamese and then the Russian ship already visit the naval base after the inauguration in early April this year. Okay? And soon, like I said, the visit of the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, along with the general, I think he's the Indo-Pacific commander, to Ream Naval Base, to me, is a golden opportunity for Cambodia and America to reset this perception, that troubled both sides. So Cambodia opened up everything for the American to visit. I'm hoping that they see for themselves. But here's the twist. Your platform call Indo-Pacific or something, but the American grand strategy, the U.S.-led Indo-Pacific strategy, in there, the U.S. has described China as a threat to national security, to the U.S., Russia, and also terrorism, according to the paper the Pentagon released. And I think for this reason why America would never allow China to have a base in small countries, so small, Cambodia. And even the base, this base, the water is so shallow, the submarine cannot come. Maybe ship, when I said the Russian ship came to visit Ream, they cannot dock there, they dock in the deep sea port. The commercial port, Sinuville port, and the ceremony is held at the base. They all want to go to Ream, so small. By the way, I was elected member of parliament of Sinuville, so I know the terrain very well. one time for 5 years. So, so I think when peace execs come, please ask the same question. You giving the base? Ask Cambodian. But the American have to be sincere when Cambodia say, no, we don't give a base. Definitely Cambodia going to tell him, no, there's no base there. Now, I'm not a military man. I don't know what it means to say this is a base, And if the American have all the eyes in the sky, all the satellite that can prove this is a base, give it to the Cambodian Defense Ministry and say, look, you misreading. This is what China is doing. You do good deed to Cambodia when you do that. Frankly speaking, I think Ream is no threat to no one. We really sincerely want to upgrade or professionalize our Navy, our Coast Guard, we have, like I said, on the maritime, we have more than 400 kilometers of coastal line also to look after and be very weak. So it is definitely the collaboration, military collaboration with China is in that regard, is to increase the capability of the Navy and Coast Guard of Cambodia in safeguarding our maritime domain.
Yeah. We certainly would welcome the transparency you're talking about, because the perception, as you said, is this is a base built by Chinese efforts. Nearby is a huge airfield, much bigger than anything the Cambodian Air Force uses. And of course, it's access to the South China Sea, which is a big threat area for the region. So if there's a way to sit down with Cambodian military and political figures to understand each other's concerns, maybe that's a way forward. Now, what do you think, Ray?
Yeah, actually, my view about this, I welcome the American to continue to say that China, you cannot have a base in Cambodia because it disturbs our U.S.-led Indo-Pacific strategy, because coercive and, bullying and all these things are not within the same value that the American hold. It's good that the American continue to do this, in my view. But at the moment, the Chinese benefit more than anyone in this aspect, because the Chinese is happy they can visit. In fact, they have a permanent on a rotating base. Their servicemen there already. This is not a secret. There's Chinese ship docked there almost semi-permanently, and then soon I think I heard that Cambodia going to buy 2 ships from China. This is, I think, pretty soon everybody know about this. So that's why this base is needed to do maintenance, to keep the ship in shape, and things like that. So what I'm saying is that the Chinese benefit because, the American, you have your Indo-Pacific strategy, but you cannot even protect Cambodia. Be there or before you. This is perfect for China. And that's why I'm welcome the American visit. The American should continue to say, look, we watch you, China. Should one day this is proven to be a base, maybe there's next step. I don't know what it is. I'm not a military man. But I think it's good, and that's why Cambodia stayed in a very strategic niche between China and the U.S.
Well, so let's get to an exit question here so that we can be respectful of your time. Looking ahead, Cambodia has got a very, I think most countries around Cambodia look at Cambodia's relationship with China and say that's a pretty robust relationship, that Cambodia's closeness to China surpasses that of, say, Vietnam or Thailand or its other neighbors. Or most of its other neighbors. What is Cambodia's view on how it balances its relationships, not just with China and the United States, but with all of its neighbors when it considers their sensitivity to China's involvement?
Yeah, good question. Let's bring BRI in, if you may, if you allow me, because this is a hallmark of Chinese initiative. I see BRI as
there's a BRI being the Belt and Road Initiative.
That's right, Belt and Road Initiative. As the same as Indo-Pacific strategy, but using development as a agency to promote Chinese influence. So, BRI for China is a grand strategy. It's a new model of a non-Western oriented international cooperation that China have been doing for now, I think version 3, version 2 or something already. They dare to create opportunity and mutual collaboration between, in the case of this region, between ASEAN and China and Cambodia and China. I want to bring that in to perspective. And Cambodia is pretty much one of the staunch supporters of BRI since early day, and what does it BRI do to Cambodia? There's a few numbers of BRI project in Cambodia. They're big in Cambodian scale, not so big in the US maybe. The hydroelectricity power plant, international airport, express highway, Sinuil, Phnom Penh, and so on. So these to Cambodia, this is something that Cambodia need to develop the country, particularly a big infrastructure project like this one. So we welcome BRI, and in fact we are a good beneficiary of Chinese BRI scheme. Okay. So China is known as the biggest supporter to Cambodia based on that. China traditionally was known as a non-traditional donor to Cambodia. When the country re-emerged in 1993, the Paris Peace Agreement, when we become Second Kingdom reborn, China is not even in the list of the traditional donors, very small component of system. But since 1998 and until now, China is the number one donor to Cambodia, including grant aid and loan, as well as foreign direct investment to Cambodia. So you should know that the foreign direct investment source coming from China of during 2024 last year amount to more than 34 billion US dollar, the biggest of all. The biggest source of foreign direct investment. Okay, and like I said, they like big project. They like to do big project. China foreign direct investment, in my view, help Cambodia economy and to expand rapidly over the past 20 years. Now, we reached 7.7 in 2019, even before COVID. Mostly due to export of textile, apparel, and that is for both local and regional consumption, but also a world market, particularly America. The irony is that many of Chinese produce based on their foreign direct investment is sold in America, and the American is the biggest market for Cambodia. Here's another. And now President Trump imposed very high tariff for Cambodia. I'm so a bit confused. Such a small state, why you punish Cambodia this way? I just don't understand. So I'm hoping that there's some sense there's some policymaker who would see this will push Cambodia even deeper into Chinese hand. So, and China provide unconditional assistance to develop the economy, to also maintain sovereignty to some extent. I wanted to tell you one thing, that even the military component, China is ahead of everybody. Ream Base is one of them. It's Chinese money. And they do now a joint exercise. I'm hoping that after HACSEC visit, Pentagon decide to restart or reinitiate the joint exercise between US and Cambodia. I think Cambodia want to have that. It's good so that we can get away from say that we align our foreign policy toward China all the time. So put that in perspective. I want to address your issues that what is it, how Cambodia should maneuver or manage or navigate China at the same time the US, because these are the two biggest superpower. I begin by saying that Cambodia and actually ASEAN as a whole still need both US and China, not one over the other. No hedging here. And balance may be the way you should do, but it depends on your agency, your skill, your influence, individual influence over these two big power. But in a normal case, small countries like Cambodia should engage both US and China. One thing, as I mentioned to you, foreign direct investment coming to China, but the biggest market is in America. So, and America we don't know yet the negotiation now third round, what is going to end up, but hopefully it's not too dramatic because by raising tariff high, the US tried to hurt China, but they hurt China through hurting Cambodia. So please know this. We're too small. Don't please be nice to us. We need US market. Okay.
All right. So, well, Ambassador, we're going to have to draw this to a close. So I'm going to let that be the last word, your appeal. I'm going to put Jim Carouso. You're in charge of talking to the Trump administration on behalf of the ambassador. I'm sure they'll listen to you.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, yeah, happy to know that.
So,
okay.
All right. Ambassador Pou, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure and really an education. We hope we'll be able to do this again soon.
Yes, Ray, thank you so much. Yeah, and Jim, thank you so much for engaging me.
Well, Jim, this is one of those episodes that reminds us that the world moves on. It's not just the big issues that we talk about. Everybody likes to focus on U.S., China, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, but these small border conflicts can have huge impacts and are completely separate from any of that.
Well, as was discussed, this dispute's been going on for a century. Two nationalist populations, not going to give an inch.
Yeah.
And it's causing political upheaval in Thailand. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would even argue maybe this was a setup. But what do I know?
What do you know? Well, of course, on one of those last issues, the issue of Ream Naval Base, that's something where I've had quite a bit of interaction with quite a few folks, especially back during my time as an attaché, because frankly, we were watching the construction of Ream Naval Base for years. And it was clear to pretty much everybody watching that China had a deep involvement. And of course, as I mentioned to the ambassador, I mean, when the pier is constructed using Chinese labor and Chinese money, and then Chinese ships show up, at a certain point, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, I think you kind of say it's a duck, right? And so but the United States doesn't actually dictate to other countries whether they can have a Chinese base, right? We don't want China to dictate whether we can have a base, right? So what we would say is, hey, just be honest about it. If you're going to have a Chinese base, say you've got a Chinese base. But of course, the other problem that they have there in Cambodia is they have law that says that we can't have a Chinese base. We can't have a foreign base on our soil.
Well, the question is, when is a base a base?
Right.
Is it a place where Chinese troops are stationed? I'm not sure it is. Is it a place where Chinese ships can dock and refuel and supply? Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, we run into this same discussion when we talk about things in Northern Australia or here in the Philippines, where the U.S. has rotational presence, right? But under Philippine law or Australian law, those are not U.S. bases. They are sovereign bases of those countries. Yeah, despite all of the conspiracy theories. So yeah, no, I mean, to some degree, of course, it's a question of semantics. What do you call something? But of course, it's also a question of law. Who's got sovereign control over a particular area? And frankly, when it comes down to it, every base, regardless, let's say Yokota Air Base in Japan, is a U.S. base, but that's Japanese territory, right? It's not that it doesn't suddenly become it's not like an embassy where you could sort of say that's U.S. territory. It's still Japanese territory. Right. So, yeah. So I was thinking of a story about Cambodia, but as I mentioned, the ambassador, I don't really have any, since I haven't been. So I will tell you another story about Thailand, where I have spent quite a bit of time. And I was, back in the 90s, I was in a special operations unit in Okinawa, and we spent a lot of time exercising in Thailand. And one of the things that would happen is every time our unit would deploy to Thailand, a vendor in 24 karat Thai gold would show up at the hotel, take out her own room with her own staff, and sell gold to every U.S. serviceman who wanted to go and buy gold. And it was, of course, it was cheaper than buying gold in other places. And she had quite the racket going. And she knew every single time we deployed, right? And so why did she know? Well, because people would call her. And it wouldn't just be, say, the U.S. service people, it would be their spouses. Would say, my husband's on his way to Thailand. He'll be staying at this hotel. I really want him to buy me some gold. And so it would show up every single time. So I remember very distinctly there being this one time when we were going to go on an exercise, but we were going to sort of play like we were, being very secure. And so we were supposed to deploy without anybody knowing that we were going to deploy. And the commander of the unit is standing up in front of all of us and saying, I had better not see this vendor. She went by Venus. I had better not see Venus in a hotel room when we get to that hotel. Guess what?
Well, Venus had a shop just down the street from the embassy,
Oh, yeah? Oh, so you know Venus.
Oh, yeah. Yes, she's collected from the Bank of Carouso.
The Bank of Powell was not a donor to the Venus Fund, as my own spouse is not in favor of 24 karat gold. It's not one of her favorites. So, but yep, it did not matter. Honestly, if we are ever going to war and Thailand is going to be a base of operations, you can just forget about operational security because Venus will know before anybody.
Maybe she has some ideas for settling this border dispute.
She might at that. Well, actually, if she can bring in some U.S. peacekeepers since you can sell gold to, I'm sure she'd be happy to do that. Oh, all right. Well, our own producer, Ian Ellis Jones. I do not know whether Ian likes 24 karat Thai gold, but he could probably tell you on his X page, which is at Ian Ellis Jones. And there is where you will find all of his very, very popular geopolitical graphics. And you should also visit him at his website, IEJ Media. If you enjoyed this podcast, you should certainly see our other episodes. You can see us on YouTube, youtube.com/IP Podcast. And of course, on any of the streaming services, the podcast streaming services for the audio version. You can go back to episode 57, where we talked about why should we care about Thailand's chaotic politics and figure out how we got even this far with Thailand's chaotic politics. That happened, of course, before the current prime minister was suspended, but you can get all of the background on how Thai politics work if you go back and listen to episode 57. Of course, you can always email us. We like getting your emails. You can email us at Indo-Pacific Podcast@gmail.com. Email us with your great suggestions. And finally, you should visit our sponsor. And our sponsor is Bauer Group Asia, a strategic advisory firm that specializes in the Indo-Pacific. Bauer Group applies unmatched expertise and experience to help clients navigate the world's most complex and dynamic markets. My co-host, Jim Carouso, is a senior advisor with Bauer Group. You should absolutely go and visit their website at BauerGroupAsia.com. That is BauerGroupAsia.com. And for this time, this is farewell. Until next time, I'm Ray, that's Jim, that's Ian, and thanks for joining us on Why Should We Care About the Indo-Pacific.